What is up, YouTube? I hope you're well. Today is the 25th of January and I've done my morning routine, having a shower, a shit, weighed myself, which is 69 kilos, which is slightly lighter than I was at the start of the week, but that's cool. This could be down to many different things. So today I'm going to be taking you through my current quad day session, which I haven't done on YouTube before, or on my Instagram to be fair. So going to be taking you through every single exercise. If the gym's busy, I might do a voiceover, but it depends how busy it is. But yeah, going to be taking you through that. Going to be taking you a little bit through my food, but I've done a full day of eatings in the past, so won't be spending too much time on that, but let's get straight cracking into meal one. So the trick with cream of rice is to make sure you just keep stirring it, otherwise it will just go all complete. But also I'm finding the more water you put in it, the better it is, because it doesn't dry out as quick. So just make sure when you're making it, you add a shit ton of water. Meal one about to go down, which is 130 grams of cream of rice, 150 grams of blueberries, 45 grams of whey, and 25 grams of dark chocolate. And obviously with the best, one of the best flavors of Monster, not the best flavor is the original zero sugar flavor, which tastes fucking insane, but this is also good. So I'll give a quick taste test and then we'll get cracking into leg day. Yeah, this flavour is really good as well. So I've got a chocolate and salted caramel flavour cream of rice, which normally I would stick to like what I know, which is like chocolate orange or chocolate brownie. But for it to spice things up as varieties of spice of life and all that, it's actually pretty good. But the bit I don't like about it is I've got fluffy marshmallow Perform Whey, which isn't the best flavour, I must admit, but it does the job, which is okay. I just need to get through it now. And what I've also done with this is added in some pink Himalayan salt to get a little bit more electrolytes in before I train, which will help me get a much better pump in the gym. Right, I'm going to take you through what I put in my gym bag for a leg day or a quad day even. So the first things first is make sure you have a freaking bag. Don't be that peasant that carries loads of shit around in the gym, like a hoarding stuff. Just grab a bag, a duffel bag, and carry it around with you. It makes life 10 times easier. The next thing is going to be some lifting shoes. Now for me, I struggle with a lot of my ankle mobility in my left ankle from old skateboard injuries and stuff like that. So this really helps me to get a little bit more ankle flexion or dorsiflexion on a hack squat and leg presses. So that's why I'll use those. We then got a resistance band. I'm a broke ass bitch, so haven't bought a seat belt for leg extension. So you can make one out of resistance bands by just tying the end, hooking it over the handle, and then strapping it over yourself to make sure you're locked in and getting the most out of that exercise. Next is the lifting belt. So this is a Strength Shop one, I believe. I've had it for years. I kind of like it because it's obviously a lever belt, which is great for, you know, taking it off. You don't have to faff around with like trying to pull the pins out. But also it's because it screws in, so you have to screw the lever in. As I'm gaining weight, if I'm going up those notches, that's a pretty good achievement for me. We'll then move into one of the most important things is a logbook. If you're not logging your training, what are you playing at? You know, you want to make sure that you're lifting, either doing more reps or more weight with certain exercises within your plan every single session. So if you're not logging it down, make sure you log it down so you know what you're going to do that next session. Because I don't know about you, but I can't remember what I did 2 weeks ago in the gym. So by logging it down, I can flick back and see what weight I was on. And I even log it down at different gyms, like on holiday and things like that, because you know, but you never know when you might head back to that gym again. Knee sleeves, because I have the knees of a 90-year-old. Make sure you fucking wash them, because you know, I've seen people before get their knee sleeves out and they smell fucking rancid. So make sure you get some knee sleeves and wash them to protect your knees in the squats. They're not essential, you don't have to have them, but I just find that a little bit more support around my knee really helps. And then the next thing is some bondage chains, or daisy chains I like to call them, which is what they actually are. These are for if I'm doing some ab crunches, so to have longer ropes on the cable machine, but also if I'm tying up the roller on the leg extension. If you're finding that the roller rolls up and down your shin when you're doing a leg extension, or even on a line leg curl and you can't adjust it, get a daisy chain, get a carabiner clip, wrap it around it and tie it up onto itself, and that way it's going to keep it in a position so that it's less of a nuisance for you to do your set with.
Today I'm training at my usual gym, the mecca of all commercial gyms, Pure Gym, as it's just cheap and cheerful, but I am looking to change gym in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. Going to be trying out this new gym. It's opening in Plymouth, which looks pretty sick. So hopefully we'll have a better and training environment, which is really important for good sessions. Like if you're in a gym and you're plateauing a lift, sometimes it's not often down to your strength. It could just be that you've outgrown the gym that you're training at. So for me, I feel like as a coach, I'm by no means the most knowledgeable person in the gym, but I feel like I want to go to a gym where I feel somewhat lacking in knowledge or feeling like the most inexperienced person in the gym due to the people that train there. Whereas this new gym, I'm hoping, and when I go for an open day, it'll be like a lot of people are just there to train rather than kind of have a chit chat and stuff, which is nothing wrong with that. Like if for a lot of people go to the gym for social aspect and that's a friendly environment, but for me I need to be in a gym that's more serious about training, so I can really push myself, push my physique to the limits and get the most out of my time in there. So that's basically why I'm changing. So I'm experimenting at the moment with my training is music choices. So as I'm walking out to the gym at the moment, I'm listening to a bit of Central C. Normally I listen to drum bass, but I'm trying out different styles of music to try and get me hyped up. So none of this kind of like visualization bollocks of like, oh, okay, I'm going to try and visualize what I'm going to do in a session. I know what I need to do in the session, which says in my logbook. So trying to get myself in the zone with music. So what I'll do is I'll listen to this now, and as soon as I get in the gym, I'll switch it to kind of more heavy metal. So I'm steadily bringing up my, I guess, arousal to train with like kind of more slower paced music. And as I then get into the session, that's where I then put some more like heavy metal or rock music on to keep that motivation high. Sometimes what I find is I listen to really high, fast-paced music or aggressive music, I guess, and it kind of brings my arousal over too much. So then when I get into the session, it then ends up being the worst session than I expected it to be, or just a worse session in general, because I am overly aroused for the session and my motivation's just teetered over, and then I then can't be asked to train at all.
Coming at you with a voiceover, so gym was busy, but geez, look at those hamstrings, they're still fucking tiny. But they are coming a long way in my growth phase at the moment. Starting my quad day off with cable hip flexions, as this is going to warm my hips up for squats later. The trick with this exercise is to not bend your knee too much, as this is going to mean it's going to be more quads. So initiate a movement from your hips, and that's where you're going to get the most out of this exercise. Second exercise of the session is another kind of prep-based exercise ready for squats to help me brace, is an incline ab mat crunch. Now with this exercise, what I used to do wrong all the time was keep my arms very close to my shoulders. So as you see at the moment, as I'm coming up, my arms are getting closer towards my shoulders. That's actually reducing the weight in that short range, which is great. So we want more weight in the length range. So what I'm doing at the moment is keeping my arms at 90 as I'm coming into this position, and then as I cut up, my arms will naturally relax and the rope gets closer, which is then reducing that weight. If you find with this exercise, for example, you can't extend your spine enough, use just a normal roll mat is sufficient enough to create the same amount as this ab mat here. Moving into an absolute staple of any quad development, the leg extension. Now, in previous programs, you always run post-exhaustion, so 12-15 reps after doing squats, because I'd always want to lift heavier in squats, but it's quite a nice refresh to do 8 to 12 on this. Band really helps me to stay locked in, and what I tend to think about with leg extensions is snapping my thigh down and snapping my shin up and over my head to get that full lockout. This last rep, or last 2 reps, really hurt the most, and I felt like I couldn't walk afterwards. Currently trying out some new angles with my new tripod as it's magnetic, so let me know in the comments what you think of this bird's eye view angle. I think it looks pretty cool. The hat squat's my favorite squat pattern for quad growth. I really don't get along with back squats. I hate having a bar on my back and it just doesn't feel comfortable, whereas the hat squat really allows me to get more knee flexion and more quads. One common mistake I used to make with this is I just chase the weight so much because it is such a nice machine, which I'd end up having a minute's rest between each rep. So I'm really trying to go continuously, taking a pause at the bottom of every rep to make sure I'm maximizing the time and attention in my quads. If you're struggling to get more knee flexion in this, bring your feet up a little bit. We don't want our heels to peel off at the bottom. This leg press has such a weird foot pad with the lowest point being below the rails, which makes it super uncomfortable for me to go super low with this. So I have to kind of adopt like a medium to low foot placement and a wide stance to get a little bit more adductor volume, as I've only got one adductor session in one of my pull days. For this, I'm going for a much higher reps, so around 15 reps 3 times. It freaking hurts, but it's such a good way to a little bit more fatigue into the quads. And I finish off with training the baby milkers, and they are literally our babies because they're so small. But one of the key things I do with my calf raises are press through my big toe. What I used to do with these when I used to train them sporadically was I'd let my feet roll out at the top, which meant that I couldn't get a full contraction out of my calves.
So that was a very tough session in the gym. It was the first session where I've actually had a decent quad pump. Now I'm going to put that down to the fact that I reintroduced pink Himalayan salt into my nutrition today. I haven't had it for a while because I forgot I actually had it in the cupboard, but it definitely had an impact. I didn't time my pre-workout meal too well this week for this session. I had it and then had a bit of work to do, which then overrun, but we still got the session done and we had a sick sesh. I hit a PB on the hack squat, which is good for 13 reps on the first set, and then that fucked me over for the second. And then leg press is always really tough when you're doing a 15 rep set on a leg press at 115 kilos. So yeah, really good session. So my original plan now was to head home and have post-workout cereal like I always do, and then head into town to get some intra workouts. I've run out, but it's now like 4 o'clock and it shuts at 5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my post-workout, show you that, and then I'm gonna do some client programming, which I'll also run you through how I program for clients, what kind of stuff I program for them, how I structure their sessions, so that you have an insight into the behind the scenes of an online coach too. Also, a funny story actually about supplements. Now, obviously when I first started in the gym ever, before I was even a coach, I had no knowledge on supplements. Obviously being like quite a skinny guy when I was younger, like doing a lot of skateboarding, constantly burning calories, not really having any structure with my nutrition and not much protein or training in the gym. So when I first started in the gym and got invested in it from YouTube, watching vlogs and stuff like that, what tends to happen was I'd go into Holland & Barrett and I'd be like, oh shit, like there's so much here to buy. So I thought, oh, serious mass gainer, let's get that. Let's get some Optimal Nutrition serious mass gainer. So I'd read the back and it said 2 scoops to have over a day, which is obviously over 1,000 calories, and God knows how much shit was in that. So rather than me distribute it across the day like normal people would, I tried putting both of the heaped scoops in one shaker, and it filled up like obviously half, 3/4 of the shaker, and I still tried to drink it, and it was literally like drinking concrete. It was crazy. But yeah, those are the good old days of where I literally had no fucking idea what I was doing. But yeah, never buy serious Optimal Nutrition serious mass gainer. It is atrocious. I tell you what, I take back that fluffy marshmallow Perform Whey was shit. It's shit when it's on cream of rice, bangs when it's with Cocoa Pops. I'm not even joking. It is fucking killing me. My legs, from quads earlier, actually feel like I've got a permanent stanky leg in both legs. It is killing me. So we've got meal free here, which is my usual bagels and eggs. So I've got 2 eggs, 2 bagels, and I've got my malt loaf, which is 100 grams of malt loaf. Unfortunately, I ain't got any ketchup in this today, which means it's gonna be as dry as a nun's chuff. And I've just realized that this light does not give my head any justice. It just looks like I've got a really good idea. I'm gonna eat this, and then I'm gonna get cracking on client programming, which I'll take you through, which looks like this at the moment. Everything that I'm gonna go through in terms of client programming and how to basically obliterate my client in the gym. So when it comes to client programs, the first thing I do is send a new client a consultation form which will go through their injury history, anything that I need to be aware of in terms of mobility, any past breaks of bones or sprained ankles, that sort of thing. So I can make sure I'm working around that and not aggravating it even more. I also then send them something called a training assessment. Now this training assessment looks something like this. It will go through their first name, what muscles groups they want to work on first of all, which listed here. So they pick 3 groups to work on in their first program. What's the name of the gym they're training at, and any equipment that they have in that gym. What I'll then do once I've got all the equipment list, I'll then go onto the gym's website and look at what the gym has to offer, whether it has a video walkthrough, which is always handy if it does have that, aka normally like Pure Gyms, JD Gyms, the gyms, that sort of stuff. But if it's a really good independent gym, they tend to have like an equipment list or photo gallery and stuff like that, just to make sure that if I am programming a session for a client, they need to make sure to have the kit in there. You know, a lot of the time you'll get a generalized plan with some generalized equipment to use that you might actually not have access to. So then it's pretty much an adequate program to use. So when I'm doing client programs, this is what I make sure I do. Oh yes. Meal 4, which is today, bolognese and veg, although it looks like there's more veg than anything else, because the mince that I bought from Asda, which is the cheap one, there's a reason why it's cheap. There was so much fat in it. So had to go for a smaller portion of that. Plan of action now is to basically devour this, watch a small episode or half an episode of Day of the Jackal. I need to get around to watching that, so that's on my list for today. And then it's off to bed, ready for tomorrow for the girlfriends to come home. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video and let me know in the comments what you want to watch next.